I'll call this meeting to order. Call this meeting to order at 5:30. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of council by attending the meeting in person at the council chamber of the municipal office located at 10227 Illerton Road. Members of the public may also access the meeting, which is live streamed on our Middlesex Center YouTube channel, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. I would like to note that Mayor Ina DeVete is attending our meeting virtually this evening, and I would suggest to her that if I don't see her hand, she yell at me so that we'll know she wishes to speak. Just a couple opening remarks to make. I would like to take a moment to remind everyone about the Canada Day celebrations planned for Middlesex Center. There are two events to enjoy, one in Bryanston hosted by the Bryanston Burr Optimist Club, and another one in Delaware hosted by the Delco Bridge Canada Day Committee. Both celebrations kick off with a delicious pancake breakfast to start the day, followed by a full lineup of family activities, including games, entertainment, great food, and of course, fireworks to wrap up the night. The municipality is proud to be a sponsor of both events, and we want to extend a big thank you to all the volunteers who are working hard to make these celebrations a success. For more details, please visit the website, the municipal website. We'll now ask the clerk to do the land acknowledgement for us.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Chair. The municipality of Middlesex Center recognizes that we are gathering on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenni Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation.
Thank you. We have one addition to the agenda. One closed session item has been added to the June 18th, 2025 agenda, and that'll be dealt with later in the meeting. I will ask at this time if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest from any members of council. Seeing none. First up, we have a delegation and from the Housing Accelerator Fund, HAF, comprehensive zoning bylaw amended review. Jennifer is here from MHBC. She's joining us in person and to present the Housing Accelerator Fund comprehensive zoning bylaw amendment review. Whenever you're ready, Jennifer, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, green is good. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Gadet, and I'm an associate planner with MHBC. Next slide. MHBC are land use planning, urban design, landscape architect, and cultural heritage experts. Been in the game about 50 years, and our closest office is in London. Next slide. So presenting here today, the Housing Accelerator Fund. So as you know, Middlesex County is coordinating efforts for 4 municipalities, including Middlesex Center, for the Housing Accelerator Fund 2 initiative. And as part of that program, there are 4 items that we're looking at. One is ending exclusionary zoning. One is reducing or eliminating parking standards, which Middlesex Center actually isn't participating in, but it's on the slide. 3, eliminating restrictions and adding flexibility. And 4 is ARUs, additional residential units. And that is looking at the zoning bylaw element of it, as well as preparing a guideline for residents. So if anyone's interested in building an ARU, we would have a guideline where they could go on your website and find a PDF or a landing page and figure out how to do that. There are 4 phases to this project. We're in the first one, which is the jurisdictional review, which included looking at about 20 other municipalities, some in Ontario, others across Canada, to identify what they're doing when they're zoning bylaws as part of the Housing Accelerator Fund and outside of it to achieve the same goals, which is incentivizing housing. Next slide. Here's the agenda for today. Just want to outline from the start that these are all very preliminary recommendations, so nothing set in stone. The idea is that from this process, we would then proceed to a meeting with the Municipal Advisory Committee, which is planning staff and other building officials from each of the member municipalities that are participating. Talk about which zoning provisions they're finding have been requested for relief, so through zoning amendments or minor variances, refining those recommendations, then going to public consultation, and then crafting the actual zoning bylaw amendments. Next slide. So the first initiative we're looking at is ending exclusionary zoning. And exclusionary zoning is typically thought of as like an R1 zone that is limited to single detached dwellings. So Middlesex Center has actually got a pretty updated bylaw, as I'm sure everybody's aware, but there are opportunities that we think could be made to expand the permissions within some of the lower density residential zones. Next slide. So that would include, or could include, adding duplexes to the UR1 zone, which right now is in the UR2 zone permissions. So simple changes like that could expand housing options within Middlesex Center without drastically altering the zoning bylaw. And this initiative or initiatives like that would be supported, in our opinion, in the Middlesex Center official plan, as it already supports a wide variety and range of housing types. We are aware, of course, that OPA 59 remains under appeal, but notwithstanding that, we believe that there'd be no OPA required to go forward with some of those ending exclusionary zoning permissions. Next is regulatory flexibility, which is very similar to the exclusionary zoning, but this would be more your residential permissions. So lot coverage, max building height, your setbacks, items like that. So we, again, looked at all the comparison municipalities, as well as Middlesex Center and the other participating municipalities in Middlesex County. Some opportunities that we'd like to discuss further with staff and then with the public and yourselves include reducing or eliminating amenity space requirements per unit, increasing maximum lot coverage, removing the minimum floor area provisions, potentially increasing density in the UR3 zone for the stacked towns. So those we're hoping to discuss further with the team and see if we can eliminate some of the minor variances and stuff like that that people might be facing when they go to provide more of those missing middle housing forms. Third is additional residential units, also called ARUs. So as I mentioned earlier, and as you're aware, with OPA 59 being under appeal, which included the ARU policies, we would need those to be in effect or a different official plan amendment that addressed ARUs to do the zoning aspect of this. But looking at the OPA and the zoning for ARUs within Middlesex Center, we would need to increase the number of as of right units, and that's part of the half initiative. So that would be 4 units per urban lot. So it would be 1 primary and 3 ARUs. So that would have to be addressed. And then we could look at other provisions that we've been asked to look at by the municipal team, which includes reverse ARUs, which is where if you'd picture like an agricultural area or lot where you have an existing dwelling and they want to build a bigger dwelling and make the existing dwelling the ARU. So that type of scenario, as well as looking at that 40-meter separation distance in the agricultural area. So we're looking at all of that as part of this initiative. Next. Yeah, so some of the other municipalities we've looked at have already done the 4 units as of right, including Waterloo. London's done the same. So there is a basis for this, and other municipalities are a little further along in the process. And we're just looking to bring everything into compliance here for the half initiative. The second aspect to the ARU project that we're working on are the guidelines. You've probably seen them. A lot of other municipalities have them, including London, where you would go to a website. It has sort of the FAQs, examples of different ARU designs, which also London is doing right now with COPS Builders. So we're looking at that aspect. We have a preliminary draft right now, but it'll be refined as part of this ongoing work. So as I mentioned, we're in phase 1, the jurisdictional scan. Number 2 is working with the team to draft some of these amendments. Then we'll go to the public with them, and then they would be implemented. So the timing right now for the regulatory framework, the next one is August. So that's when you'd see the draft bylaws. Public engagement, subject to availability, September, October, and then implementation, October, November. That's provided we don't have to go back to the drawing board once we hear from the public. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you, everyone, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions this time? Go ahead, Sue.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'm just want you to extend on, you said number 2 was the parking requirement. We are not looking at that.
That's
Maybe Stephanie, can you speak to that, please? Thank you.
Yes, through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Cates, that was not included in our Housing Accelerator Fund commitments. So we are not looking at that. That was specific to Strathroy Caradoc. That's something that they're looking at in their downtown core. It was not included in our half commitment, so it's not a part of our scope.
Through the Deputy Mayor to Jennifer, these ARUs, what's going to happen in the country is they're going to build this additional residence, and 5-10 years down the road, they're going to come to council and they're going to want to sever it. Like, I think all what they're going to do in the countryside is create a lot of friction with agriculture, because eventually it's just going to increase the urban population in an agricultural area. And we've got issues already where you go to spray a field and they got the swimming pool, what do you call those little pools kids got, and lawn chairs, or they're in the field. And, well, we thought it came with the property. No, it didn't. So, yeah, I know you have to do what your regulations state, but personally, I think rural, these are bad. Thank you.
Further questions? I just have one. I'd like to address to PWE. With all these extra units that they're being proposed in the urban centers, that's really going to affect our sewage treatment capacity, is it not? And is that going to wind up costing us a lot of money in expansion sooner than we think is going to be required?
To the Deputy Mayor, there's the potential, right? We don't know what the uptake is going to be, but certainly, yeah, if you were to take a urban block and quadruple the density on it, it's going to have an impact both in the sewage treatment and the conveyance system, right? So, and more initially, you're going to see it in the conveyance system probably first before you see it in the downstream system, but that's something we'll have to monitor just on uptake.
If there's no further questions, I'm going to turn to our planner, Stephanie, and let her have a chance to take a shot at this.
Thank you. Through the Deputy Mayor, I just want to add that this is representative of just a portion of our Housing Accelerator Fund commitments. So you have had a few staff reports in the past that outline the 7 commitments. And so very soon, as soon as our next council meeting, you will also be receiving more information on some of our other Housing Accelerator Fund initiatives that we're working on. So just wanted to clarify and put that in context. You'll be hearing lots more about our Housing Accelerator Fund initiatives coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one, thank you, Jennifer, for being here this evening and doing that presentation for us. And this will be an ongoing exercise for a few months. So we look forward to hearing more about it as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need a motion? No. Okay. Next, we have our 2024 financial statement overview. Christine Scrimmager of Scrimmager and Company CPA Professional Corporate joins us in person to present the 2024 draft financial statements for the municipality of Middlesex Center. Welcome, Christine, and when you're ready, go ahead.
There we go. Thank you. Well, congratulations first off on what a great building this is. It's pretty impressive when I sit here now compared to all the other years. It feels, and I'm looking at way too many pictures of myself, so I'm not quite sure I like that. But anyway, but it is a beautiful building. I've been here working two different time frames, and it's just very functional and it's beautiful. So congratulations. All right, so we do have the draft audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024, as was mentioned. These are draft and will become final once council approves them under Canadian auditing standards. That is required, and so they are dated as of today's date, which is hopefully the date they get approved. I do want to start off by thanking the director / treasurer for all of her assistance during the audit process and her staff. It is a long process and they provide us with an awful lot of documentation, and there are very few journal entries so I just wanted to encourage or let council know that because there are very few journal entries, that means the information you're getting throughout the year is accurate and you can make good sound financial decisions based on that. So just thank you to her and her staff. All right, we'll go through the numbers. So I'm on the statement of financial position, which is really known as your balance sheet. And I'll just highlight some of the high level items. If there's any questions or anything you need further clarification on, please don't hesitate to ask. So as you know, and you've followed these presentations before, I go down to the net financial asset line. So that's really the amount of money you would have in the bank at the end of the day if everybody paid you what they owed you and you paid off all of your debt. Clearly that's never going to be a position you'll be in, but it's just a good indicator of your financial stability. And you can see there it's been increased by about $1.7 million. So that's, and we'll get into an awful lot of new capital in a minute, this building obviously being one of those. But even with all of that, you have maintained that net financial asset position. Everything below that line are the assets that you need to have in place in order to provide the services you do, your roads, your water, your wastewater, those types of things. And the next indicator I'm looking at is how those assets are increasing over the years. Are you reinvesting in the assets at a level equal to or more than the amortization, which is the using up of the assets? Your amortization is about $9 million, just short of $9 million every year. And so I see a significant increase there of the capital even after the amortization has been taken out. And so I know that you're reinvesting in your assets at a good amount. The capital work in progress number, we've talked about that in the past of making sure that that's not at a high level. This year was skewed a bit by this building because it wasn't actually completed until 2025. And so at the end of 2024, it was still in what we call capital work in progress. And so that increase from the prior year, I'm not concerned about because I know obviously this building is now complete and it was one of the big pieces in that number. Coming down to at the end of the year an accumulated surplus of $300 million. So you've just gone over that threshold this year. Are there any questions on that balance sheet at all? Okay. Moving forward, the next statement is your statement of operations and accumulated surplus. So this shows the budget for 2024 versus the actual and then the actual for 2023. And I'll just highlight some of the larger fluctuations that have happened between budget and actual or between actual and the 2 years. So overall revenues are about 3.6 million higher than what we budgeted. Couple reasons for that. The major one that sticks out there is the investment income. If you remember back in 2023, we were still dealing with some 1% increase or interest rates. Obviously, that has increased. It's also increased because when we get to the note on the accumulated surplus, you'll see that the reserves have also stayed at that same level and have actually increased by a little bit. Other than that, the remaining revenues were really quite close to budget, and I don't have any, there was no significant changes there. Under expenditures, so the $40 million versus the $30 million expenditure budget is not a concern. If you remember, I said that amortization was about $9 million, and your amortization is not a budgeted item because it is not a cash flow item. And so if you added that to the actual for 2020, or the budget to 2024, you would be very close to the actual. The other line that really sticks out is the planning and development line. So you'll see that we budgeted $4 million and it came in at 5.7, but compared to last year, it's 658,000. That has two components in it. One is legal fees, and the other is the topping up of the development charges for the exemptions that we did in the current year. So that was in 2024. So that DC exemption top up was almost $3.4 million. So that is the one line item that is very different between the 2 years and also over the budget. All that to come down to excessive revenue over expenditures before other, and last year was 8.7 million, this year it's 5.4. And again, if you put that $3.4 million that we topped up at the DCs, which is a one-time item, you would be very close to what we were at last year. So I don't have any concerns again about that decrease. Everything below that line are items related to capital. You'll see the developer, government, and user contributions related to capital is 8.3 million versus a budget of 8.3 million versus 3.1 million of actual. That's really just tied into as you complete capital projects, then you are obviously eligible for the DCs, the federal gas tax, and OCIF funding, various government grants. And it's really just a timing issue. It's not that you're not going to realize those revenues in the future. You will realize them once you finalize those projects. Coming down to an excess of revenue over expenditures there. And again, if you take those two items I mentioned, you get back to the prior year. Any questions on that statement?
I don't see any. Carry on.
All right, we'll go on now to the statement of cash flow. So this is just the increases and decreases of the non-cash items on the balance sheet. And as you can see, the majority of the larger numbers relate to capital assets. I will comment, you can see that we are continuing to pay off our debt as well. Under financing activities, you see that we are decreasing our debt. And so even with all of that new capital that I've been talking about, we've maintained or lowered our debt level, and then also maintained our reserve level, so which we'll see in a second. Coming down to the cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year. The next statement is a statement of change in net financial assets. And again, this is just really a snapshot of what's going on with capital assets. And these are really the large numbers. So there you see the amortization of tangible capital assets, the 8.8 million that I've referred to as just under 9 million. The acquisition of new assets of 10 million almost. And then also another 6 million investment in capital in progress. And again, about 4.5 of that is this building at the end of 2024. Then we get to what the notes to the financial statements. I won't spend a lot of time on these notes. I do want to highlight a couple though. Note number 7 is deferred revenue obligatory reserve funds. So this is really where we see that topping up of the development charges. We've been in a significant extension for a few years, and you can see there that we're almost at a break-even point now with 754,000. And that includes the new amount that we contributed to it from the township. Oh my goodness, I've been here too long. The municipality, sorry. But I caught it right away. And then the next comment I want to make is on note number 9, which is the accumulated surplus. So as you're aware, your director brought you a report The operating surplus for the year was approximately 1.4 million, and she gave you a report on that. That has been moved over to the reserves, and so that's included in that reserve fund set aside for specific purposes at the bottom. And this is where I've been referring to that you've maintained the reserves at the same level or a little bit better than what you were last year, even with all of that new capital projects that you've done. And that comes down to that total of 300 million, which is on the balance sheet that we talked about. There are two schedules at the back. One is the breakdown. The first one is the breakdown of capital assets by component. And as you can see, the majority of the new assets are in the infrastructure area, which is logical. About half of them, over half. And then the next schedule is a breakdown of revenues and expenditures by function. These are the functions that are described in prescribed by the FIR. The whole FIR is broken down by these same functions, and so this is really a segue between these financial statements and the FIR that gets filed with the province. Any questions on a whole lot of numbers?
I don't see any at this time, Christine.
All right, great, thank you. What do you mean?
If there are no questions, we have a motion that the 2024 audited financial statements for the municipality of Middlesex Center be adopted as printed. Moved by Frank, second by Sue, all in favor? So moved. Thank you, Christina, for coming out and going through that with us. We certainly appreciate your work, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you. This time, we'll adopt minutes of the June 4th, 2025 meeting of council be adopted as printed. Mover, Councilor Arts, second by Councilor Shipley, all in favor? So moved. We now have the consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.4 listed on the June 18th, 2025 agenda to be adopted as recommended. Is there any one of those that anyone wishes to have pulled and talk about? Seeing none, I just have one for the fire chief. The fire prevention service with North Middlesex renewal. That isn't causing us any undue stress on our services for our own municipality by extending it out there. Everything's going all right with that?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, we're not running into any issues. Our fire prevention officer is handling it quite well, and we're recuperating about a little under 50% of fully borne rate with the two municipalities. So we're doing all right.
If there's nothing else, we'll have a motion that consent agenda item 7.1 through 7.4 listed on the June 18th, 2025 agenda be adopted as recommended. Mover, Councilor Shipley, second, Councilor Coles. All in favor? Thank you. We have some staff reports. Imposing a fee under the Municipal Act 2001 for the Melrose Water Project. Tiffany Farrell, Director of Corporate Services, is in attendance to provide an overview of the staff report. Tiffany.
Thank you. And through you, Deputy Mayor. So the report in front of you is with respect to the imposing the fee under Section 391 of the Municipal Act. This is related to the Melrose Drinking Water Interconnect Project. So the Section 391 can apply to provide a fee specific to the residents because they are benefiting properties, and they are the only benefiting properties for this work being done. The water service itself is a requirement that the municipality continue to provide to the residents. However, there is within the report, it's outlined that there are new benefits that are going to be provided to the residents with this project being completed, switching from the well service that they have right now to the interconnect connecting to our Lake Huron primary water system. So to point out that this project has been ongoing for about 7 years. At that time, 7 years ago until now, there has been grants being applied for, looking for funding support for this project. And To date, the municipality has been unable to secure any grant funding. And when this project was brought forward, it has always been noted that it would be funded by the Water Reserve Fund. Going back to our meeting last week, last meeting, we discussed the water financial plan, and there are financial pressures on our water financial plan as outlined in that long range outlook. So this is an option being provided to council in order to recoup some fees with respect to this large project. One thing I would like to really point out here is the residents in this area are not aware of this fee being imposed. The report does outline that information, and one of the options, or the option does say that we would provide notice to the residents and give them time in order to provide their comments and feedback to council and staff, and that information we brought back to council as well. So at this time, I will put it back to council for any questions on the report.
Does everybody have any questions? Councillor Shipley? I'm sorry. Okay, Councillor Arts first. He was in the queue first. Go ahead. You're up.
Okay. Oh, through the deputy mayor to Tiffany, you know, when we started this years ago, if we would have mentioned that there may be charges on the residents, I could maybe agree with this. And I realize staff's duty is to present us with all available options, but personally, I don't think we can, as much as I'd like to, I don't agree with charging them for some of this project. Thanks.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yes, I was just in follow-up. Is there an appeal process? Like, we're going to send a letter out to everybody, explain it. What do they get? 10 years? Is it 10 years to pay it or less? And is there an appeal process to this at all?
So through Deputy Mayor, in discussions with legal counsel, Section 391 of the Municipal Act does not have a requirement for an appeal process. However, we would like to give the community an opportunity to provide their feedback to council. However, it's not an appealable fee from my understanding.
Just to follow on, sorry, just to follow on to that.
You clicked out. I'll come back to you. Right now, Councillor Shipley's next in the queue. So
The Deputy Mayor, Tiffany, just their water rates, are they the same rates everybody's paying through the Middlesex Center?
Yep. Through Deputy Mayor, yes, that is correct. The water rates are the same.
Yeah, I gotta echo Councilor Arts. I got a problem with this, actually. You know, 10,000, it's not like they knew this was coming. It was kind of dropped in their laps, so, thank you.
Councillor Burrs, go ahead.
All right, so what's our plan of it? Our plan of attack then under this, what is it? It's under the Municipal Act. We issue them all a letter explaining this, and then we tell them, you can ask us, is there a public information session on this then, or do we just rely on the letter and then do we answer individual questions?
Yeah, so through Deputy Mayor, council can direct staff to do a public information center. One has not been done. I imagine there has been one done in the past specifically on the project. However, the Director of Public Works and Engineering would have a better idea on that. But yes, that could be directed should we want to proceed with this option.
Any further questions?
Wait,
Go
so
ahead, Fred.
what I would encourage that. I don't know whether we'd probably, I would say in fairness, we'd have a public information session, one of those board things where people walk in and we can answer questions, and then we drop the letter on them. Or what do you suggest, Rob? Drop the letter on them first and then have the public information session?
Yeah, through the chair to Councilor Burrs. Yeah, I think I would send out the notice with identifying the cost and a date for the public information center all in one notice then. Yep.
Any further questions? Go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. So I've thought a little bit about this and I'm kind of torn on it all. I agree with Councillor Arts and Councillor Shipley as well. And just as Tiffany presented it, and she said that like, it just makes me think, okay, so let's just say somebody in Kamoka, or, something in Kamoka had to be replaced and it was really expensive. We wouldn't charge the people for that. And so here we're providing them water now, and because we're going to change how we provide the water, do they have to pay for it? So I'm kind of struggling on the fence, and the public information, who's going to come forward and say, sure, I don't have a problem, you charge me $10,000. I mean, I'm happy to see that you're going to offer it over a 10-year period if they want, but, are they going to, I had water yesterday and now I have water tomorrow, how you bring it to me. I think that's just what I'm struggling with. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Coles, go ahead.
Just as a new counselor, I guess, through you to Rob, could you explain the benefits of moving to the interconnect project and why this was done originally? Thank you.
Yep, so through the chair to Councillor Coles. Yes, back when the EA was undertaken, I think it was in 2017, prior to myself being here, it was decided to move ahead with the interconnect because of the aging infrastructure in Melrose. There's also some, other than just asset replacement, there's some other benefits that come with that, because we're able to get away from the wellhead protection zone that's currently there for the groundwater source. The existing groundwater source does have a high sodium content, which we have to send out notices to the residents. I believe it's every 5 years. Most people wouldn't be affected, but anybody on a sodium reduced diet may have a concern. So that would be eliminated by the connection. The current water also has, I believe, is high iron or manganese, and that would be, it is treated, but it would be reduced further by being switched over to the new source. Once the retrofit is complete, there will be a larger storage volume within Melrose. So it's a I guess, more robust system than you would say as well. As far as the distribution itself within Melrose, that will not change. So it's really just the source water and the storage of that water at the facility within Melrose. So there are some added benefits over the existing, but certainly the replacement of the infrastructure is a big component. But that's part of the reason why the thought of that $10,000 was because it's a fraction of the cost, right? It's about 16% as opposed to trying to put on 100% of the cost onto residents. So.
Councillor Burrs, go ahead.
Yep, thank you. So I think the last place that's going to have a well is Burr, which we can't get rid of, correct? That's one question. So I think that's just going to say, so this is a good move. We have to move off wells. The only comment I'll make is in following up on what Councillor Cates said, they have water today, they're going to have water tomorrow, but they have to pay for that move. We can all wonder about that. How do you justify that philosophically, that they should pay when that is the key point? I got water today, nothing's changing other than you're changing your stuff. So can you comment on that?
Sure, through the chair to Councillor Burrs. Yeah, so I completely understand, and we've had those internal discussions. And that's why, so staff, I want to be clear, staff have put forward a $10,000 value as a recommended value, but we're not recommending that council move forward with this. We just wanted to bring this forward as an option for council, whether or not we want some partial cost recovery on the project from the residents. I see both sides of it. There are some improvements, but of course, they have an existing service. They're going to say, well, there's no benefit at my tap, right? Most people aren't going to see the difference. So yeah, no, it's a tough decision.
Okay. Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, maybe to Rob and Tiffany. So just to follow up on something that you said. So in a sense, there is a change because they're not going to have all those sodium level, the sodium and those. So it is a vast improvement. And so obviously you would say that in a public notice that you send out to them. And I guess we also have to remember or ask, what it does to the reserve fund for such a large expense. So that's just some extra comments. Thank you.
Mayor DeVito, you have some comments you'd like to make? Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy. Through you to staff. My question relates to how that cost, if it is not allocated to specific users, how is it distributed across the municipality? This would be borne by people who are on the system, the Lake Huron water system at present, or would it be allocated to all residents of the municipality?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, it would be just the water rate users, so the water users. So it is a project. So to answer Councillor Kate's question as well, it is a project that has been identified to be funded from the water reserve funds. It is currently in our budget and funded as such, and it is outlined in our long-range financial plan. Large projects like this, as well as any future projects, as you saw through the capital budget, as well as the projections over the next 10 years, do cause a strain on our water reserve funds and have that increase that's being projected each year in our water rates in order to fund these. So that's where internally for staff, our role is to provide other options to council as they come up. However, it is part of that long-range financial plan, and this project has been included, and it will not be funded at all by the tax base. It is just the water rates.
Thank you.
Any follow-up, Mayor DeVito? Is there
Thank
any
you.
other? Yep, thank you. Any further questions for anyone? Councilor Barris, go ahead.
Okay, can I equate this to like, we get services, like say in Delaware? Is that a correct comparison? So I could say, I have sewage treatment, I have sewage today in my septic tank, and I'm not noticing anything different. Now I got to hook up to the one that's running across my property. I've got to decommission my tank and I got to hook up and pay fees there. Is that an equivalent comparison or not?
Through Deputy Mayor to Council Burrs, I would say no. It'd be similar to Elmhurst, right? So I don't think this is equivalent to Elmhurst either. That would be the provision of a new municipal service, where this is already an existing municipal service that they have. And actually, while I had the microphone, so one thing just to be transparent that I wanted to point out, that in the original EA document, although it didn't get into it never stated that funding could not be through partial charges to the residents. It did at the time state that it would be paid for through the reserves. At that time, the cost was only projected to be, I think, about 1.4 million construction cost, and that's now like 3.2, right? So there's a huge increase, but I just wanted to be clear that was there.
Anything further? Seeing none. That report CPS 33/2025 imposing a fee under the Municipal Act 2001 for the Melrose Drinking Water Interconnect Project be received, and then a portion of the cost for the Melrose Drinking Water Interconnect Project be recovered by imposing an equal fee against each of the landowners abutting the works in accordance with section 39 bracket 391 bracket 1 of the Municipal Act 2001, and that staff be directed to include the fee in the municipal fee bylaw in accordance with the requirements of section 391(1) of the Municipal Act, and that staff be directed to notify all residents in a letter distributed in the mail of the imposing fee. And further, that staff report back to council with a draft bylaw on the fee being proposed once the residents have been informed and had an opportunity to discuss their concerns and comments. That's the end of that. Do I have a mover to receive that report? No, it'll be to go forward with the public meet are notifying all residents, and staff would report back to council with a draft bylaw on the fee being imposed once the residents have been informed and had an opportunity to discuss their concerns and comments. So it will come back to us.
He's gonna be charged at this point, they're gonna put the fee on.
Just go ahead, Councilor Cates.
I'm just wondering if we should maybe refer this back to sort of think about it, work on it a little bit more, and you know, maybe it's 5,000 instead of 10,000. Versus today, we're actually telling them to go ahead and impose the fee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can, if you wanted to refer this back to staff, we can have staff go out to the public, talk to the public, come back to us with what they're saying at that point in time, and then perhaps have a redirection of what we want to do if that's acceptable to council. Councilor Bears.
So just for clarification, I'm okay with it, holding a public meeting and telling them what we're gonna charge them, but not suddenly dropping the fee from, I think we've thought out the fee and the fee is 10,000, but then that would be presented to council and we would vote on going ahead then. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, fine.
After they meet with the public, yes. Is that okay with council that we meet with the public and explain everything to them, and then it comes back to council for further consideration after we've talked to the public? Moved by Councilor Bears, seconded by Councilor Coles. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Chair. Just for clarity, the recommendation on the floor would be that the report be received. But then we would be jumping down to the clause about staff notifying all residents. Sorry, just for the record, I would like to clarify the process.
Yep,
So it
yep,
would
go ahead.
be, and then council wishes to see the Public Information Center
Yeah.
and notification to residents.
What's that?
Center 3 will be coming out.
That's through the chair to Councillor Shipley. Yes, that's what I wish to confirm, if that's council's wishes, just so that staff are moving forward appropriately.
Is that okay?
Okay, so
You want to read that and so
Right.
everybody's
Yeah.
fully aware of what we're doing here?
So the recommendation would be that the report CPS 33/2025 regarding imposing a fee under the Municipal Act for the Melrose Drinking Water Interconnect Project be received, and that staff be directed to notify all residents in a letter distributed in the mail of the imposing fee and hold a public information center.
Yeah.
Okay. And further, that staff report back to council with a draft bylaw on the final fee being imposed once residents have been informed and had an opportunity to discuss their concerns and comments.
So it'll come back to council it'll come back to council once staff has met with the people and went over everything. Is that acceptable? Councilor Bears moves it, Councilor Kate second. All in favor? That opposed? One opposed? So moved. Thank you. Okay, our county official plan review engagement. Our planner, Stephanie Bergman, manager of planning and development, is in attendance to provide an overview of the staff report. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brennan, and through you to the rest of council. I'm just here today to highlight a few opportunities that council may wish to consider for engaging more directly with the ongoing county official plan process. So as council would be aware, the Middlesex County Official Plan was approved by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing back in 2023. And it really is an important document that sets the upper tier framework to which all of the lower tier municipalities' official plans must conform. So the county initiated their official plan review at a meeting in January of 2025. Generally, this is being undertaken, as we all know, there have been some pretty major changes in provincial policy. So that is one important component of their review, but they have also highlighted that they will be looking at transportation, agriculture, population and housing forecast, drinking water source protection, natural heritage, economy and strategic direction, development, housing, and additional considerations. They do have a team of consultants that have been engaged to complete the official plan review and prepare the official plan amendment. It's not clear when they're planning to bring that forward for adoption. So I just wanted to highlight a few areas. It is important, we do feel it's very important for the county official plan to be consistent with the provincial policy statement. It provides a bit more degree of policy certainty for us in moving forward with our updates. But there was just a few things that I do want to highlight that, again, the municipality may wish to engage on more directly. So the first one is just maintaining the flexibility for local decision making. So the current county official plan policy does have a degree of flexibility that allows us to implement these policies both within our official plan and then our zoning bylaws directly. So I really am suggesting that that be maintained. So one example of this is the population projection. So those population projections that are included in the county official plan are really intended to be guidelines. And we do the plan does recognize that projections at the lower levels may change. And they do note in the plan currently that changes to those projections may not necessarily require a county official plan amendment. So that's the type of flexibility that I'm suggesting we request to the county that that be maintained as they move forward with this official plan review. So the second area is more on the mapping side and really from a land use planning perspective. So the current framework in the county official plan, which we then adopt in our local official plan, is that all lands that are located outside of identified settlement areas are designated as prime agricultural lands. So anything outside of the settlement areas are subject to the policies surrounding prime agricultural lands. And that means instead of in some areas of the province, there are mapping exercises that are undertaken to ensure that all of those lands do represent prime agricultural lands. But in the county's official plan, the decision at the time was to just include the policy to say, instead of undertaking a full comprehensive mapping exercise, there's a policy that was identified to say we're considering all land outside those settlement areas as prime agricultural land. So there are alternatives to that approach, and I'm suggesting that now, especially at the time of the county official plan process, that is really the only time that this could be looked at, and specifically, there are a few areas of Middlesex Center where, that may represent, so there's a few that I've noted in my report here. There's a strip along Gainsborough Road, kind of heading into the City of London, and then up on Medway Road that, maybe there are other opportunities for development within those areas. But of course, today, as they are designated as prime agricultural lands, any other forms of development would not be permitted. So I'm not suggesting any specific land use designations for these specific areas. I haven't included any mapping in this report. But what I'm suggesting is council may wish to consider that we bring this forward to the county for future consideration as part of the official plan review. We do note, our CAO and myself, we have been working quite hard on some economic development opportunities as well. And, we do often get approached by landowners or prospective business owners looking to establish areas. Just some examples off the top is spas, recreational facilities like we've seen in the past. They come to staff looking for help finding sites and finding land where they might be able to establish these uses. But again, unfortunately, because everything outside of a settlement areas are really designated for, we do have a mix of uses, but in terms of value, they're really valued for residential development. And so some of these other types of uses that may require a bit more land aren't suitable for those locations. So we just find that, and again, it's usually a few areas that come to mind in particular. And so again, this is the time during this county official plan review process, and it's really the only time that this type of thing can get looked at. And so again, I wanted to ensure that council was aware of those potential opportunities. And really, it would just be council providing direction to engage with the county on these specific items as part of the official plan review. And so if council would wish to explore this a bit further, staff would start that discussion with the county. So again, I just wanted to kind of provide an overview, and the county official plan review process really is an important time for us. So we really should be actively engaged. I know staff have been following the process and the progress of it. But again, I just wanted to highlight a couple of these opportunities that I think we should, that council should consider engaging further on. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Seeing none, just an update. Oops, sorry. Someone have a question? Oh, Ina, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, Stephanie. I don't have an issue with investigating different designations. That may be an opportunity to open some doors. My question is a little more specific, though, because in the report you talk about different classes 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8, 9, and so forth. With the process that we engage with, in which we would engage with the county, would that actually come down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or is it generally saying that these would be sort of like special areas to be designated as demand requires?
Through the deputy mayor to Mayor DeVete, I think so. I think if I understand your question correctly, if they are in fact, so prime agricultural land and as well as prime agricultural areas are identified and defined in the provincial policy statement. So if the lands that we may look at really do meet the definition of prime agricultural land or areas, they certainly would remain designated as prime agricultural land. But again, I think it's just a matter of exploring that further and potentially looking at some of that mapping specifically. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any further follow-up, Mayor DeVete? Okay, I just, that's, thanks for that, Stephanie. As you know, we have a planning meeting here of the county on the 26th, so it might provide an opportunity for you at that time to set some groundwork and get some of this stuff in motion. As I chair that committee, I could certainly let you have a say in that meeting to bring that forward. Councilor Shipley.
Through Deputy Mayor Stephanie, if they decide to designate some of these lands, would council have the decision whether yay or nay on these decisions, or is this the county decision?
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Shipley, well, generally this is the county's plan. So I think certainly if there are any major changes, I would think that the county would look to council's kind of endorsement first. We'd have to look at how that works through the process and through their engagement. But it is the county's plan, but the issue here is that it's the county's plan, but our plan has to conform with that, which is why it's important that if we have any interest whatsoever, that we look at it now.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Stephanie. So just for clarification on what the mayor said, I'm not sure if this is what she was asking or if this is what it made me think of. So now on mapping, you'll have, this is the urban boundary and this is are you going, is it gonna pick land to put on a map? Or is it more the flexibility if somebody came forward with an idea, we have the flexibility because we have this in the OP? Thank you.
That's a great question. And basically there are several ways of doing it, right? And the way that the policies are structured right now, we don't have that flexibility. There are different options for how we would look to do this. It might not necessarily be redesignating specific land. It might just be a policy solution, like you mentioned, to provide a bit more flexibility. So there are different options and different forms that it could take. That helps.
Seeing none, that report PLA 38/2025 read County Official Plan Review Engagement be received, and that staff be directed to provide input on the identified areas of interest to the County of Middlesex for consideration as part of the ongoing County Official Plan Review. Will someone move that? Councillor Arts, seconded by Councillor Cates. All in favor? So moved. There are no notices of motion at this time. We have correspondence 10.1 through 10.3, and Mayor DeVete would like to offer some comments on 10.2. Go ahead, Mayor DeVete.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd like to speak to 10.1, the Long Service Award letter dated May 27th, providing notification from the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators regarding our CAO, Michael DeLulo. Michael was recognized by CAMA for his 20 years service in a municipal leadership role on May 27th at the awards luncheon at the recent CAMA conference. Excuse me. Specifically, that letter notes that he has, and I quote, undoubtedly contributed to the advancement of our municipality. And when I read that, I thought, wow, these words really capture the way in which Michael operates perfectly. So just as an example, he has encouraged and supported partnerships with community organizations, local businesses, and not-for-profits operating in Middlesex Centre, as well as in our neighboring municipalities. Second, he has instituted improvement programs, and he encourages all Middlesex Centre employees to participate. Staff suggestions are evaluated and implemented to provide better service, to save money, to modernize our processes. And finally, he encourages and supports staff education and improvement opportunities, which has helped ensure that our team is ready to deal with all of the ongoing change in legislation, technology, and standards. These are just 3 examples that came to mind, but to me, they highlight some of the variables that Michael believes are valuable and contribute to the advancement of our Middlesex Centre communities. So I just want to say congratulations, Michael. We do feel fortunate to have such a seasoned professional in the driver's seat here at Middlesex Centre. So.
For a second time.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor DeVete. I think all of council resonates with those words, and we certainly agree with you, and we're certainly extremely proud of Michael's accomplishment here in Middlesex Centre. We have a motion that the correspondence item 10.1 through 10.3 be received as information. Moved by Councillor Cates, second by Councillor Bears. All in favor? So moved. Is there any other business that any one of council would like to discuss? Seeing none, at this time, we'll take a 1-minute pause while we exit open session, go into closed.